Divinity Original Sin 2 is an isometric role-playing game released in 2017. The developer, Larian Studios, became widely known after the release of Baldur's Gate 3, but they had been creating deep and thoughtful games long before that. Original Sin considered one of the most refined cRPGs of the past decades, thanks to the combination of three things: near total freedom of choice, a deep build system, and a carefully crafted world that reacts logically to the player's decisions. Everything in this game follows one principle: if you can imagine it, you can probably do it. That's exactly what makes Divinity unique, even years later. It doesn't hold the player's hand, but rewards attentiveness, creativity, and the ability to think ahead. We'll break down the lore, characters, combat system, quest design, the game's logic, and why even after 8 years it still deserves your attention. The story of Divinity Original Sin 2 unfolds in Rivellon, a world permeated by source magic. Source is a primordial force from which the gods themselves were born. It can perform miracles, heal and summon spirits, but it also opens the way to the void, astral realm inhabited by ancient beings banished by the gods. You begin the game as a sorcerer, captured by the Magisters and sent to Fort Joy, a prison for those deemed dangerous to the world. But your journey to the fort is cut short by tragedy. The ship carrying the prisoners is attacked by a giant kraken, sinks, and when all seems lost, a mysterious force intervenes and saves you from drowning. You awaken on the shore and your true journey begins. As you explore Fort Joy and beyond, the lore of Rivellon gradually unfolds through dialogues, books and environmental storytelling. You learn of the fallen divine King Lucian, whose sacrifice ended a previous war, but left a power vacuum. In his absence, fear of the void has allowed authoritarian rule to take hold. The game's narrative presents moral ambiguity at every turn. The Magisters claim to protect the world from evil, yet their methods are cruel and oppressive. As a player, you are often caught between submitting to authority or fighting for freedom, mirroring the game's broader theme of personal liberty versus order. The lore isn't delivered through lectures or long cutscenes, it's woven into the environment. Every book, painting, stray NPC line, or room layout carries a fragment of the world's story. The game rarely explains things directly, it offers hints instead. If you take the time to explore carefully, Divinity will tell its story on its own, without intrusive explosion or glowing arrows. The world is built logically and cohesively, events, items and characters are connected, and nearly every discovery has meaning. That's why Rivellon doesn't feel like a backdrop. It feels like a living, breathing world, where every detail is in its place. To understand how Divinity Original Sin 2 works, it's important to know what a cRPG actually is. This genre emphasizes choice, dialogue and tactical thinking over action and reflexes. The camera is isometric, the interface detailed, and dialogue and interaction with the world are core mechanics. In Divinity you control a party of up to 4 characters. The gameplay can be loosely divided into 2 main components: social interaction and combat, though in practice they are closely intertwined and constantly influence each other. The social side is the heart of the game. You explore the world, talk to NPC, trade, investigate locations and complete quests, most of which go far beyond simple fetch tasks and offer something unique. The game doesn't rely on cutscenes. Most events are narrated not by the camera, but by a voiceover, like a dungeon master in a tabletop RPG, rich with emotion and detail, leaving room for imagination.
An intense-looking man steps between the thug and the elf and rolls up his sleeves, revealing well-muscled and heavily scarred arms. You recognize him. It's Ifan, who you met aboard the ship on the way here.
All dialogue in the game is fully voice-acted, and that's not exaggeration. Every character, including a random NPC or a rat in a basement, has a distinct voice and tone.
Now come on, elf. If you make me say it again, there's gonna be trouble.
This creates a scene of a living world where everything matters and nothing feels secondary.
Fresh meat. Nice. Plump. Banded like a chicken's leg too.
Combat in Divinity is turn-based. At the start of each fight, turn order is determined by initiative, and the number of actions you can take per turn is governed by your action points. You decide how to spend them on attacks, movements, spells, or item use. Despite the slower pace, battles never feel dull. Each encounter is a small puzzle that requires you to anticipate outcomes, use the environment smartly, and read your enemy's moves. Original Sin is one of the few games where the role-playing system and freedom of choice truly work in harmony. You can play any kind of character, a noble hero, a cynical villain, or an unpredictable madman who changes their mind on a whim. The game accepts any behavior and adapts to it. It's a sandbox of possibilities where you are not handed ready-made solutions. Everything is built around freedom and experimentation. The game gives you tools, and it's up to you to decide how to use them. Any given challenge can be tackled in dozens of ways: brute force, cunning, magic, or pure ingenuity. You can fight, negotiate, deceive, teleport, sneak, blow things up, or simply walk away. The game rewards creativity, encourages unconventional thinking, and lets you solve problems your own way. However, on a broader scale, the main story doesn't change dramatically, no matter what choices you make. Divinity Original Sin 2 gives you the feeling of total freedom, but in truth it lies more in how you get there than where you end up. What matters is not the ending, but the journey, who you stand with, who you sacrifice, what principles you abandon, and what kind of person you become by the end. Divinity doesn't let you rewrite the world's fate, but it does let you make it personal, your story. At the start, game asks you to choose a class, but this is more of a starter template than a rigid archetype. There are no hard limits on how you evolve your character. You can blend schools of magic, melee skills, stealth, or any hybrid in between. This freedom makes each build truly personal and often surprising. Every character is shaped through multiple layers of development. Attributes define your basic stats. Combat abilities enhance specific types of damage and unlock skill sets. Civil abilities affect non-combat skills, giving exploration more depth. Talents are passive traits that define your playstyle and open some non-combat opportunities. Tags unlock unique dialogue options. Divinity is a turn-based tactical RPG. Each turn is about setting priorities, not just taking actions. Everything runs on action points. Every move, whether it's attacking, casting a spell, moving, or using an item, consumes part of this limited resource. You never have enough action points to do everything you want, which turns combat into a strategic puzzle. The standout feature is elemental and environmental interaction. Fire ignites oil, water conducts electricity, poison can be detonated, and blood fuels necromancy. Hate boosts range damage, fog hides archers, and ice can freeze an entire group. Fights feel more like tactical challenges than damage exchanges, and smart positioning or skill combos can outcast brute force. One of the defining elements of Divinity's combat is its dual armor system. Every character, allies and enemies has physical armor which blocks physical damage and disables, magical armor which resists magical effects and statuses. As long as a character has the appropriate type of armor, they are completely immune to crowd control from that category. You can't shock or freeze someone with magic armor, nor knock them down if they still have physical protection. Larian built a system that prioritizes logic over randomness. Every decision is deliberate. You factor in elevation, surfaces, initiative, and even the weather. Winning isn't only about having the biggest numbers, it's about reading the battlefield and chaining abilities in smart ways. That's what makes Divinity's combat one of the most acclaimed and distinct in the genre. Companions here are not just combat units, they are fully realized characters with their own backstories and personal quests. They are woven into the main narrative naturally. Their motivations often echo the game's larger themes, and their perspectives can make you question your own decisions. Companions can interject in conversations, comment on events, leave the party, or even turn against you. At times, their personal stories take center stage. For example, Osa's storyline is one of Larian's narrative masterpieces.
It's been a while since I had one of these in my hands. I wonder if I can still play.
Destroy.
No, not now, no. Leave me alone.
It's a tale of battling a demon within, the fear of losing control, and the struggle to remain human when unknown forces threaten to consume you. Divinity isn't a game where quests exist just to fill a journal. They exist to tell stories. Each quest is a small drama, a moral dilemma, or bizarre situation that tests not only your party strengths, but your personal ethics. Larian designed the game so that almost every quest can be solved in multiple ways, and there is rarely one correct path. Quest design operates on all levels, from philosophical arcs to grounded but vivid episodes. Larian knows how to insert humor and absurdity where you least expect it. These lighter moments never break the immersion. On the contrary, they make the world feel real, a place where there is room for oddities alongside epic struggles. And because of that, every character feels alive. You understand what drives them, why they act the way they do, and what consequences your actions will bring.
Sure, why not? Not all of them hatch, you know. And between you and me, honey, I don't mind the taste of an omelette now and again.
Each act of the game opens up a vast new map shrouded in fog of war. At first, there is no clear route, only clues, glimpses, and the faint promise of something hidden nearby. But as you explore, the world unfolds with remarkable density. Nearly every corner holds something meaningful. A morally complex situation, an important NPC, a new quest line, hidden loot, or even a revelation that reshapes your understanding of the story so far. The level design doesn't force a path, it gently suggests one. Curiosity is your greatest tool, and your abilities become keys to the world. Exploration in Divinity never feels like filter. It's not there to pad your playtime. It's there to reward attentiveness. You are not just walking across terrain, you are investigating, listening, experimenting. A locked cellar might lead to a forgotten vault. A hidden cave might hold a divine relic. And exploration isn't only physical, it's social, emotional, and moral. A simple conversation might reveal the pain, guilt, or corruption hiding beneath the surface. You might find a child locked in a cage, begging for help. But why is he here? Who trapped him? And what happens if you let him go?
They said I did some really bad things, but I'd never do anything wrong. Never ever. Oh, please let me out.
It never feels boring, the game constantly throws something new at you. A situation to think about, a moral dilemma, a clever combat encounter, or a puzzle waiting to be solved. Larian has created a world where every stone might matter, every detail could be a clue. Curiosity isn't just encouraged, it's rewarded with the feeling that you are truly living in the world, not just playing through it. That's the genius of Larian. They made exploration not just a mechanic, but a storytelling experience. Divinity Original Sin 2 is a prime example of how visual style and sound can work together to create a world you don't just want to play in, you want to live in it. Larian didn't chase photorealism, instead they chose a distinct artistic expression that balances beauty with clarity. Each location has its own visual language, its own palette, rhythm and emotional tone. Lightning, weather and even smallest visual effects don't just decorate the scene, they set its mood. Divinity doesn't aim to impress with technology, its strength lies in cohesive style and expressive atmosphere. Every place feels handcrafted and alive. Even with an isometric camera, the world feels deep and tangible. Environmental storytelling is everywhere. Burnt walls, overturned tables, scattered books, each telling a quiet story of what happened here before you arrived. The music isn't background noise, it's part of narrative fabric. Composer Borislav Slavov crafted a dynamic score that breathes life into every moment of the journey. The music doesn't simply accompany the story, it amplifies its emotion, setting the tone for triumph, loss, tension, or quiet reflection. Each melody feels purposeful, guiding your feeling through the world of Rivellon, without ever drawing too much attention to itself. It's not just background, it's the heartbeat of the adventure. Sound design follows the same principle of immersion. The crackle of fire, the cry of distant crows, the whisper of turning pages. Each sound feels grounded, physical, real. Together, they create the illusion of presence, that scene that you can almost feel the air of Rivellon. And then there is the voice acting, among the best in the genre. The cast doesn't just deliver lines, they perform characters. Each accent, pause, and inflection adds personality and warmth. You don't just hear the story, you feel it being told to you.
Because anything you go, oh, don't on the chest, don't on the chest.
Original Sin 2 is a world where art, sound, and atmosphere work in perfect harmony. Every frame, every note, every whisper isn't just decoration, it's storytelling. Of course, the game isn't without flaws. Its graphics show their age, the in-game economy can easily break, and some areas feel less polished than others. But its strengths far outweigh its shortcomings. And if you give it a chance, it will take you on an adventure you'll never forget. Yes, years have passed since its release, but no cRPG has yet matched its balance of freedom, logic, and emotional depth. Even Baldur's Gate 3, born from the same roots, feels more like an evolution of Divinity's design than its replacement. Divinity Original Sin 2 remains a rare masterpiece, a world where everything feels deliberate, where you can be anyone and do anything. And if you are looking for an RPG that doesn't just challenge your tactics, but makes you think, this is the one.